Good evening on this Monday night. Happy Valentine's Day. Thank you for joining us. I'm Laurel Porter. That passenger was flying from Salt Lake City to PDX when he tried to open the door. Alma McCarty's in the newsroom with more on this case, plus how the FAA is handling a spike in these incidents. Alma?
Laurel, in this case from Friday, the Portland man charged told officers he caused this disturbance in hopes that other passengers would record him, giving him the opportunity to share his thoughts on COVID-19 vaccines.
While on a Delta Airlines flight from Salt Lake City to Portland last week, police say 32-year-old Michael DeMar tried to open the airplane's emergency exit door. Witnesses told investigators DeMar pulled on the handle with his full body weight. Flight attendants demanded he stop and physically restrained him at the back of the plane. According to court documents, when asked why he did this, he admitted it was so others could video him, so he could share his personal views. FAA data shows there's been a big recent spike in these unruly passenger incidents over the last several years. More than a year ago, the FAA adopted a zero-tolerance policy in response to that dramatic increase. The agency now pursues legal action immediately against passengers who assault, threaten, intimidate, or interfere with a flight crew. Since that announcement, the rate of these incidents has declined. Retired commercial pilot Jim Hummel believes stricter rules help curb this behavior.
But I don't think you're going to be able to totally eliminate it, because you always got that small group of people that are probably going to not only create problems on the airplane, but they probably create problems wherever they go.
Alma McCarty, KGW News.
Now let's get you caught up in tonight's other headlines. In Old Town, police are looking for the suspect in a violent attack on a homeless man. It happened just after 4 o'clock Sunday morning at the corner of Northwest 3rd and Gleason. That's near the Blanchet House, a nonprofit that provides food and shelter. The man was found unconscious and is now in the hospital. Another candidate has joined the crowded race to become the next governor of Oregon. Former state representative Bob Tiernan announced today he's running for the Republican nomination. He served in the legislature in the 1990s and was the chair of the state GOP after that. So far, 31 people have filed for the May 17th primary. Oregon and Washington have some of the highest gas prices in the country. AAA says Oregon has the 4th highest average gas price in the nation. Washington is 3rd. Crude oil prices are way up from last year, partly because of tensions with Russia, which is a big oil producer. Also, demand is going up as pandemic restrictions loosen. The average gas price in Oregon is $3.93 a gallon. If you've tried to order an Uber or Lyft lately, you may have noticed longer wait times, higher prices, or both. Since the pandemic began, the number of rideshare drivers in Portland has dropped sharply. So where have they gone? Investigative reporter Kylie Boshi takes a look.
In a pandemic filled with stops and starts, it feels like people are moving again. Yet rideshare giants Uber and Lyft, they're struggling to bring drivers back, which can mean longer wait times for riders.
After a long trip of traveling, you just kind of want to get home, That's kind of where I'm at with it. I just want to get home.
It's a completely different vibe now, yeah. It's just, it just used to be so convenient.
Because you're waiting?
Yeah, we're waiting.
There were about 17,000 Uber, Lyft, and taxi drivers in Portland 3 years ago. Today, there are only about 6,500.
Here he comes.
So where have all the drivers gone?
How's it going?
All right, how you doing?
Gerald McClinton is an Uber driver.
How long you been driving?
Over 4 years.
So you've seen the ups and downs.
I have.
So where have all the drivers gone?
A lot of drivers are not coming back because they're scared of, the COVID concerns,
During the pandemic, 77% of Uber and Lyft drivers in Portland said COVID was the primary reason they stopped driving.
I don't want to contract something and bring something home. I don't want to, get anyone sick.
Drivers also left because there just wasn't as much demand. Portland went from almost 13 million rides a year in 2019 to roughly 4 million last year. There weren't making as much. Pay models changed, so did bonuses. Drivers worried about safety, and unemployment benefits became available. But now, things are starting to change, and customers are returning to the apps, only to find out, at times, there aren't enough drivers.
Hello, this is Jason.
Jason, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good.
You used to be an Uber driver, right?
Yeah, I drove for about 6 years.
Jason Tim was one of Portland's most popular rideshare drivers with his tricked-out SUV. Uber even featured him in a promotion. But like thousands of other drivers, he left during the pandemic.
You think these Uber drivers will come back?
I don't know. I mean, I think there's a lot more opportunities for actual jobs out there with benefits and things these days.
Both Uber and Lyft are offering incentives to try and lure drivers back to the apps, but they face stiff competition from other gig services like food delivery.
So a lot of drivers switch to Uber Eats, DoorDash, Instacart, many other gig economy jobs.
Sergio Avidian writes for the blog The Rideshare Guy.
Is this problem unique to Uber and Lyft as far as finding workers?
To me, from top to bottom, everybody, was forced to push their reset button and value what they're worth and what they're doing and should they change.
So Uber and Lyft are just like every other company in the country. They're fighting for workers.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Sergio, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate it.
It's difficult to gauge whether this driver shortage really impacts how much you pay for a ride. But we do know the pandemic pushed a lot of drivers to quit, thousands of them. So the question is, will these Uber and Lyft drivers come back as Portland starts moving again? Kyle Aboshi, KGW News.